Hey guys, today we're going to be talking about the book Hooked by Emily McIntire. I picked this book up and I was able to read it in just a couple of days. It was a very fast moving novel. It's a standalone, but I picked it up because look at it. I mean, it's gorgeous. It absolutely was giving Hook vibes with Darling and the stopwatch here. It looks beautiful. Picked it up and I did not do a lot of research on this book. I just picked it up because it was beautiful. And so when I got in there and I actually started reading, you know I love to read from cover to cover. So I was looking over the author's dedications and notes, and literally right out of the gate, I just wanted to show you what it says. It says, Hook is a dark contemporary romance. It is an adult fractured fairy tale. It is not a fantasy or a retelling. The main character is a villain. If you're looking for a safe read with redemption and a bad guy turned into a hero, you will not find it in these pages. And boy, was she right. I should have known. I should have stopped right there. I should have said, I'm looking for something fantasy, because I went in thinking that this was going to be a fairy tale retelling. Even though she said this is not that, I held out hope and was like, I mean, it's about Peter Pan. It says fairy tale. It was not. Okay. And so it fit in the category of contemporary romance. It was a dark contemporary romance, but for me, it felt more like a mafia romance, a very mob boss type ordeal. And I say romance very, very loosely because to me, it felt more like trauma bonding. And so it did not actually have romance in the terms that I would consider romance. So we have these two characters. It is in a dual perspective. And at first I loved it. We were introduced to James, also known as Hook, and Wendy. And so it was both of their perspectives. And we had James, who is very damaged. He has pretty much a really sordid backstory, and he kind of helps run the Jolly Roger, which is a club, and they are using the Lost Boys to help get drugs out into the world, and that's kind of how they run their business. And the drugs are called pixie dust, and he's someone that you don't want to mess with. Well, Wendy comes to the Jolly Roger, and we find out that James actually knows Wendy because he's been following her dad, Peter, hence like Peter Pan, and he has the singular goal in life to ruin Peter. And he thinks that he's going to use Wendy to do that. So the entire book, Hook lies to Wendy. He's a troubled kid, and Wendy is never getting the love from her father that she wants or needs. And so both of them end up in this weird relationship of need / want, but also they've never received love by anyone before. And so this is like they latch onto it, not necessarily because they desire it, but more so just because they're there. And so, true to being a villain, I mean, he's evil. He kills people. He runs a drug business. Like, he is not a good guy. And yet through the entire story, she's falling in love with this guy, but she doesn't even know any of this about him. She doesn't even know his full name until the very end of the story. So we're led to believe as the readers that she has this love for her dad and her brother. And spoiler alert, big spoiler, she ends up killing her dad for Hook, even though Hook ends up abusing her and torturing her and doing some really shady things, right? And so it doesn't add up for me. It wants to be in the romance category just because they trauma bonded over some crazy things, and I don't particularly feel like it deserves to be in the romance category. It ends, and I literally feel like the author was like, I just need this book to end. What can we do to end it? And they just see, like, they start throwing things at the wall to see what sticks. And I'm just like, no, this doesn't add up. Not only does she kill her dad, but then we just have random family members just start showing up out of the blue. And I'm just like, oh, so you're the cousin and you're the brother or the stepbrother. And I'm like, it doesn't feel real. And it's like, if you don't want to write a fantasy book, okay, fine. Then make it plausible. Like, make it feel like this is something that could legitimately happen, because I don't feel like you can start burning businesses on fire, like a whole airport and a whole bar, and like the police are just gonna be like, okay, and then you get Wendy's perspective and she's like, I don't know how all of this was cleaned up. I never asked. Well, that's a problem, babe. Like, it's almost like the author didn't know how to end it, so it was just like, oh, well, we'll just say she's traumatized, and then I don't have to finish it, or then I don't have to fill in the gaps. I don't have to create a backstory, or she doesn't have to understand any of it. He just cleaned it up. And it's like, well, that's a problem, because you're letting this guy that you don't really even know have ultimate control over your life. So, okay, Wendy, you let your dad have ultimate control over your life. Now you're letting him have ultimate control over your life. This is a problem. And you want me to say that it's romance. No, it's not. It does not sit well with me. Okay? So, ultimately, did I like this book? No, I will not be recommending it to anybody unless you like mafia romances. Then this is not the book for you. It does not fit my fantasy category, which to me, it really just, it deceived me. I felt like the cover deceived me, because you had Darling, that's what Hook calls her, Wendy Darling. Well, he hates clocks. I'm like, he would not be anywhere near a clock. He hates them, right? We learned that in the story. But I feel like it was using Peter Pan to draw me in, thinking that it was fantasy, and then it was not anything like that. So please keep that in mind before you read Once a Villain, Always a Villain. He did not change. It is not a fantasy novel. It is a dark contemporary romance. And if you're looking for something to escape the modern world, this is not it. She does do a great job of including the characters from Peter Pan. She does a great job of reusing names for places, not just people. And she does weave a very intricate story. It's the very end that I just felt like it was just, I'm ready to give up. And then once it ends, we start getting all of these epilogues, and I'm like, oh my goodness, like I wish you would have just stopped. I didn't need all of these epilogues, because to me, it doesn't fill in any of the gaps. It doesn't give me that happily ever after. It really just is like a fast forward of, oh, we didn't want to live on the ship. Oh, now we're in a high rise. Like, okay, great. Like, it didn't sit well with me. Nothing about this book sat well with me. I did finish it, so there is that. I didn't stop it, but that's not a good indication of whether or not you should pick it up. So I hope this helps. I hope that if you were thinking about getting it and you were looking for that fantasy, it kind of prevents you from reading something that will let you down. But let me know what you think. I hope this helps. Bye, guys.